All right, everyone, and I am in fact getting word that we are ready to go. So we're going to hand it off to Moon Remix RPG Adventure run by tecchan. They're going to be running the any % English version of the game. So let's get some excitement, let's get some chat hype going, and let's welcome tecchan.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm tecchan, Japanese speedrunner. This is Moon Remix RPG Adventure. I've been looking forward to playing it at RPG Limit Break. I hope you enjoy. Okay, so we will be getting started in 3, 2, 1, go.
Something darkness, something dragons. We've all heard this stuff a million times. As always, there must emerge a wonderful hero to fight off the villain and save everyone's lives. And this is the one thing that Moon is best known for. It's an early example of a game that critiques through storytelling the tropes and cliches of a genre. In this case, the tired fantasy RPG formula. And here we go, this is the start of our journey. Walk up to the king, who gives us the first quest. He tells us about the evil dragon who swallowed the moonlight. And our job is to restore it by, of course, killing the dragon. Right now we're not strong enough, so we need to level up. And as usual, we level up by gaining experience points, which you get from slaying enemies. Now, this is going to be one of the main concepts, the main concept really, that will be challenged in Moon. The idea that as an amazing, noble hero, you need to kill a bunch of things to achieve your goals. In addition to that, you walk into strangers' houses and loot their stuff, basically stealing from them. As such, Moon is an early example of a game that questions the conventions of its genre, preceded notably only by Earthbound. I would say Moon takes it a step further than Earthbound, though maybe not as far as Undertale, a game that Moon would partially inspire. For this reason, Moon is often called an anti-RPG. We'll see the game explore this much more thoroughly in the main portion of the game, but right now in this intro segment, it's more or less straight up parody of Dragon Quest, especially with this fight against a level 1 slime. And this encounter pokes fun at how grindy a lot of turn-based battles are. Here, both the player and the enemy deal only 1 damage each turn, resulting in a very long, padded out fight. I should note that none of these battles are actually being fought. They're more like dialogue we need to mash through. The real gameplay will begin after the end of Lake Moon. Now, even though this section is largely a direct parody, there are also some events happening here that also sort of serve as foreshadowing for things that will happen later in the main game. Essentially, what happens after this is we will enter the game's world and experience all these events again, but this time from our own perspective rather than the heroes. And we will eventually see all the behind the scenes, the larger context, the real dark truth behind what's occurring as the hero makes progress towards his goal of defeating the Dragon King. So a couple of words regarding Moon itself. The game was made by Lovedelic, a studio formed partly by some of the crew that previously worked on Super Mario RPG, which you might be able to see somewhat reflected in the style of humor and animation in this game. Moon was released exclusively on the original PlayStation in Japan only, and remained untranslated for over 2 decades, though there were some fan translation efforts that never ended up getting fully finished. But despite Lovedelic sadly closing down just a couple of years after this game's release, the former members of the studio would continue making similar games, some of which gained a cult following of their own, such as Tulip, Rule of Rose, Little King's Story. And in the 2010s, many of these developers reunited under a new studio called Onion Games, which basically inherited all of Lovedelic's catalog. Now, they wanted to re-release Moon and port it to modern systems, but unfortunately they did not have access to the original code, or so they thought. And then one day, an employee looks through the archives and stumbles upon what turned out to be the source code for Moon. And the rest is history. Well, this being a PlayStation 1 game, it was of course far from trivial porting it to modern platforms, so it still took several years of work. In addition to that, there were no initial plans to localize the game, but at some point the director of Moon, Yoshiro Kimura, gave an interview with a Japanese publication alongside none other than Toby Fox, as well as the creator of the Toho franchise, Zun. And after that they would have lunch where Toby expressed his wish to play Moon in English, and this really gave Kimura and the team a push to work on a proper English release. And so in 2019, Moon was released on the Switch, and a year later got an English language localization, with the translation being handled by the legendary journalist Tim Rogers. Today, speedruns are done on the PC using the Steam version. This version came out in 2021, has some pretty nice minor quality of life features. We usually play in Japanese, but today for RPG Limit Break, we're showcasing the game in English. We're approaching the end of Fake Moon as we face off against the final boss, the Dragon, as the game simply calls him, is about to be defeated by our hero. It's a weirdly detailed sprite for a segment that otherwise features very primitive graphics. Don't know what's up with that. But as we pummel the dragon with our extremely heavy attacks, the boy's mother tells him to go to sleep, because it's really late. Right in the middle of the final battle, I don't even know if I'd had the restraint to not play just a little more, just to finish the game. But oh well, it's time for bed. Except suddenly, the TV turns back on, and our boy gets sucked into the world of Moon. And this is gonna be a long cutscene, so if you have some donations to read, that would be great.
So I actually do have a couple of things to read out for you, including a $25 donation from Blue Undertone, who says, "Let's go runners." Thank you so much, Blue Undertones. That's very appreciated. We also have a $6.67 donation from Windless, who says, "Excited for the upcoming Sora no Kiseki, third speed run, and looking forward to seeing how the run breaks this tricky one open. The cat dragon is Team Bruffish. Thank you so much for both of those. We also have some upcoming incentives that we still need to get met. So if you're excited for the Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky third incentive for the arena fights, let's get that going. We need to get that done pretty soon. We have a couple hours to do that. I would like to see those arena fights happen. And then we also have another incentive for that same game, Legend of Heroes, where we have the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Blind incentive. Both of those are still early on in their stages of getting met, so let's give them a little bit of love.
Alright, here we are. Welcome to Moon World. It may look a little different, but this is very much the same universe as the video game the boy was just playing. And we begin from the very start, where the hero walks into the castle to receive a quest from the king. In just a few seconds, that is, the boy, will finally land after our minute-long fall and follow the hero into the castle. Right now we're in this ghost form, which means no one can see us, and we can't talk to anyone. But at least it means we can sneak inside the throne room and overhear the conversation. Compared to the more generic visuals of Fake Moon, the character designs here in Moon World are much more vibrant and exaggerated. The king is shown to be a bit simple-minded, childish, lacking the aura we traditionally associate with a powerful ruler. And the clunkiness of the hero's equipment is also very strongly emphasized. The slow movement, heavy sound effects, and a massively oversized sword. Now that they're done, we can head back out. We will visit this castle again, but that will be a little later. Now, if we had talked to the townspeople earlier in Fake Moon, which we obviously don't do in runs because it's optional, they would have been full of praise for the hero, saying things like, "The hero is so amazing, he's gonna save us all." But once we dive into Moon World, we learn the truth. The townsfolk actually dislike the hero and see him as a freak. But him looking and walking funny is nothing compared to the destruction he will bring forth. This is only the beginning. So this is Castle Town. Like I mentioned, we are currently in ghost form, which means we can't talk to anyone yet. Instead, we head straight down south, where just on the outskirts of Castle Town lives a kind old lady. And that is where we will find a temporary bed in which we will sleep and then finally start the first day. Here it is, this little shack right here. We call her Granby, and this dog right here is Tao, who senses our presence and alerts her to it, although we're invisible. But to her it's no problem, as she has poor vision anyway. She gives us a big hug, as she mistakes us for her grandson, who she lost some time ago. And we have no choice but to exploit her kindness, at least for a day. There's much more to the backstory of this grandson who disappeared, and you can learn more about it by finding certain items hidden around the game world. I won't spoil it for you, in case you want to play the game and find out yourself. But for now, it's bedtime. And it's on our first night, in our dream, that we will meet a certain someone. So this is Queen Aphrodite, and she is our first guiding voice in the game. And here, in these streams, she will help us convert our experience points into levels. Yeah, this is still an RPG in some ways. But instead of fighting, she wants us to love, to do good things, and help others, rather than inflict pain. That's why our experience points will be called love points, or just love. And our levels are love levels. Right here, the game makes the first save, and as soon as that happens, we restart the game. This skips a long cutscene that would normally play at the start of the first day. And on Steam, you can soft reboot the game by changing language. And we have to do it twice here to go back to English. So we're not going to see the cutscene, but in short, Granby gives us an outfit that used to be worn by her grandson. And with these new clothes on, we can finally be seen by the people around us. Though they can't see our body, just some floating clothes. And putting out and reloading may take quite a while, but it still saves some time over watching the cutscene. That's how long it is. Now we can begin our journey. We talked to Granby once there, so she gives us cookies. They're gonna come in handy later. Before we can start doing things, we have to witness another cutscene involving the hero. So we're gonna walk back into Castle Town. And there he is. Gotta follow him for a bit, see what he's up to. And this is the part in Fake Moon where he walked into some lady's house and looted her drawers. That's the hero doing that here. Except it's a lot less socially acceptable. We're gonna step inside for a bit to grab a music disc, which will also be useful later. In the game, these are called moon discs, or MDs for short. And this is a peculiar feature of Moon, which they advertise as choose your own soundtrack. You basically have a little music player in the menu, and if you collect these discs, you can play them as background music in any order you like. We're gonna be playing some more tunes later, but this specific disc is one of the few in the game that are actually useful for obtaining love points. Now we can walk back and watch another hero cutscene just south of Castle Town. This is what the battle against the slime actually looks like in this reality. A one-sided affair, where the hero simply zaps the poor little baby to death. Or like, oh no. Anyway, time to move on. But a voice stops us and calls us over. This man here is Delato, another guiding figure for us, although he only really appears twice, once here at the beginning and once more at the very end. He lectures us on the real gravity of what the hero has done here. It is again one of the main points of criticism Moon has for the traditional RPG formula. Supposedly brave heroes who kill creatures indiscriminately in blind pursuit of leveling up and increasing their stats, with no regard for morals or compassion, disturbing local life, which has done nothing to harm them. That is what a typical RPG hero is. But do not worry, for we are here, and we can do something about it. We can at least try to undo the damage. So the Lotto gives us an animal file, which lets us learn about the various animals of Moonworld. And as the hero kills them one by one, we can find their lost souls, catch them, and return them to their bodies, so they can be resurrected. Here's a little bit of RNG in this game. The first animal we're going to catch is a slime, and it can appear right away, or it can show up after some time. Gonna need to listen to some sound cues. This is also a technique to stop the in-game clock, which I'll probably explain later, but it's a technique we'll be using a few times throughout the run. Here it is, and that's the first animal. So this is basically one of the two ways to love in Moon. One of the two love languages, if you will. Catch the lost animal souls and bring them back to life. And the other love language is simpler. You just go around and talk to NPCs, listen to their worries and struggles, and help them any way you can. For these deeds, you earn love, and unlike traditional experience points, there's a finite amount you can earn in the entire game, as all the animals and NPC quests are predetermined and reward you with a fixed amount of love. But like in all RPGs, these points do result in levels that increase your strength, basically. Specifically, in this case, one very important statistic is increased, which is action limit. And that's basically your stamina. The more action limit you have, the longer you can go in a day before passing out. And you want to go to sleep before that happens. Otherwise, you get a game over. So why does the stamina system matter? Well, if you look at the top left corner, you'll see a clock. It looks a bit confusing, but essentially you have a day and night cycle and 7 days of the week. The symbol in the center is, it just represents the current day, which is currently the equivalent of real-life Monday. The red dash is the clock hand. The triangle on the outside, which you can currently see it being red and pointing at 6 o'clock, that is the point in the day when our character will pass out if we don't sleep before that. So it's important for us to pay attention to that. At level 1, we only have enough action limit to last half a day, so we have to hurry and find a bed to sleep in before nightfall. And to do that, we activate the rainbow machine, which, through an amusing sequence of events, causes a rock to move out of the way on the east side of this map, which unlocks a new path for us. And beyond that, we will find a new home. Having a lot of action limit, however, is not just a mere benefit, but also mandatory for finishing the game, as there are some crucial tasks later on that we can only complete if we have enough action limit. Those are long travel sequences lasting several in-game days, so we will need enough energy to survive that. This is also a little bit of RNG, and this time tecchan did get lucky with the slime, basically the female counterpart, I suppose, of the slimy that we caught earlier. This one is shy, so you can only catch her if she's facing away. And she decided to turn around right away. Now that we have cleared the path on the right, it's about time we head towards our future home. Normally, slime is not even a required animal. We can actually, there are 2 animals that we want to catch there, but we can miss both of them due to there being enough leeway in the route to catch both of them later, while losing little to no time. And here it is, the house that will be ours in just a few moments, but we have to be patient. Talk to this man first. These 2 are a couple. The one tagged to the pole is Polka, and the one we're talking to is Nika. Polka has found a new passion for being a living signpost of sorts, and Nika is pretty fed up with that. So, with a little advice from us, he decides to run away and start a new life, leaving the house to us. Goodbye. We don't usually do this in PB attempts, but for safety in marathons, we also talk to Poka. Like I said, living signpost, and we can ask for directions. I'm not sure I remember how useful this actually is in a casual playthrough, but if you ask for all 3 directions available, then that rewards you with 1 love. And finally, we can walk inside and end the first day. Although we're gonna wait a little bit, this is due to routing reasons. But we want to have a little bit more time spent on the second day during daytime. So we meet Queen Aphrodite again, and this is how it works. All the love we collected from catching animals and doing NPC quests throughout the day, this is where it gets converted into levels. And as long as you have enough love points to level up, get to the next level, then you level up, and your action limit is increased. And the action limit is, of course, also reset for the next day. Ultimately, our goal is to have an action limit to survive a 4.5-day rocket ride, which is just about barely possible at level 22, and that's what we're going to aim for. Like I said, there's a predetermined amount of love in the game, specifically 200. That's if you do all the animals and all the side quests. And we only need 97 out of that for level 22. Which is basically not even half the content of the whole game. This is Adder, kind of like a cult leader of sorts, although he seems to be the only member. You need to complete his trial to access the mushroom forest to the north. And this is going to be a long section, which might require some focus. So, not going to be talking much here. The trial basically has 3 parts with 9 questions each. And part 1 is about memorizing text. We usually do this in Japanese, so for tecchan is pretty comfortable, but right now we're playing in English, so he might need some focus. And tecchan makes very quick work of that. In all honesty, these are all the same every time, so you can just kind of brute memorize everything. Like I said, we usually run on Japanese, it's faster, so if anyone who doesn't speak Japanese also has to learn this minigame, but in Japanese. And honestly, it's not that hard.
So we do have some love coming in for Nami, so it would be wonderful if you could let me know when a good time for donations would be.
Okay, I think the 3rd phase will be the best for that. Right now it's very sound-based, so it's better to be relatively quiet. And that is beautiful. So that's the second phase. Third phase is purely visual, so if you want to go ahead with donations, please do.
Thank you so much. And I would also like to thank Arpwayne, who sent us $15 with no comment. Thank you so much. That's fantastic, and it goes a long way to helping us out. We also have $5 that came in from Sprout, also with no comment on the donation, but it's still fantastic, and we appreciate it. The last one I've got to read to you for now is Furritskin, who sent in $50 with my $50 for the deathless, accidentless SMT5 run bet. So thank you so much for that. I am a little sad about you losing that bet, but I am sure Nami appreciates it very much, and it's going to go to a very good cause. I also have plenty of other shoutouts if there's still some downtime left.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I would actually like to extend some thanks to LLK. So if you're on site or you're online and you're seeing the banners, RPG Limit Break is incredibly grateful to LLK, a longtime contributor to GDQ Marathons and the designer of our promo banners, attendee badges, and emotes. So check her work at jabazoo.com, and that is spelled JAZAABOO.com.
So after completing the trial, we select the second option in the dialog that pops up to get a moon tier. This is going to be one of our biggest sources of money. Money is a thing in this game. It's actually called yenum, which is basically just money backwards. And we can sell the moon tier. Moon tier is not useful otherwise, but we can sell it for a decent amount of money. And that's going to be useful later on, when we need to buy some fairly expensive items. But for now, we catch this animal right here. This one is called, I believe, Sit Witness. Play on Sid Vicious and supposed to just Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't know much about this stuff, but yeah, removing this this animal carcass from the path will clear out the way for us into the mushroom forest. And you have a little drama here with Adder and what he presumed to be God. And he's very sad to see Sid Witness leave. But hey, gotta look on the bright side. He can become God now, himself. And we get love for that. We're gonna go back inside and talk to Adder again, this time in his quote-unquote God form. After this, he becomes a sort of hint system. You can come here and spend a little money for, in exchange for some hints on how to solve certain puzzles. In my casual playthrough, I just completely forgot this was a thing at all, and maybe it would have helped not get stuck a bunch of times. He doesn't help you with catching animals though. For that, you have to check out the animal file. So now that we're done with that, we can finally head into the Mushroom Forest. Mushroom Forest is one of the most bizarre locations in the game. This is literally what we see right before entering it. And these are the Kakunte people. A tiny tribe of tiny humanoid creatures. And one of their friends is sick. So we need to find something that could cure it. In this case, we can just pick up this red mushroom. That's what the game calls mushrooms. Pick up this red mushroom and give it to the sick Kakunte, and instantly it recovers. So normally, if you step into the mushroom forest, oh yes, there is also this animal who appears exclusively early in the morning. Forgot the name, I think it's Wavio. And it's just a convenient source of true love. And we're gonna move on after this into the mushroom forest. Mushroom forest is normally inaccessible until you heal the sick Kakunte, and it's because the forest belongs to the Kakunte tribe. And so you need to earn their trust first before they let you in. We're gonna eat this mushroom first so that we can actually meet the Kakunte people. And now that we have helped one of theirs, they're gonna let us in. And we also get 1 love for that. So slowly progressing toward that goal of 97 love. That's the total amount we need in the entire game. There are 5 types of mushrooms you can find in the mushroom forest. 5 different colors, and we're gonna ignore the green one for now. But eventually we'll have to collect all 5 of them. And if you solve a puzzle to figure out what order to eat them, and you eat them in that order, you can actually start a ritual. Now, of course, the order is the same every time, so now that we've finished the game, we can just do the thing without solving any puzzles. It's the beautiful thing about speedrunning puzzle games. But yes, we'll not be eating the mushrooms right now. Instead, we follow the hero further to the west here. Pick up this pollen. That's gonna come in handy later. But we proceed into this place called the Haunted House. Haunted House, yes. And the hero has just finished killing all the animals inside. As always, we're just a little bit too slow. There's a voice here. Who is that? Well, he asked us to come down into the basement. But in that cutscene, he just sends us back to the 2nd floor anyway. So we might as well just go straight there and do the thing that needs to be done, which is trigger the alarm on his neck. And this basically disturbs the souls of the animals that are haunting this house. And it's those animals that locked this guy down here. This is Dr. Hager, and he's gonna help us build the rocket. Oh yes, I don't think I mentioned the ultimate objective of like how you finish the game. You need to build a rocket to go to the moon. The problem right now is basically, at least according to the residents of Moonworld, the moonlight disappeared. And what we need to do is go to the moon and investigate and maybe restore the moonlight. And to do that, we need to build a rocket. And this man here, Dr. Hager, he's really smart, as you can tell by his massive head. He's gonna help us build the rocket. All we have to do is to collect 5 parts that go into the rocket. And those are 5 items we're gonna have to find around the game map. Crucially, the reason why Mushroom Forest is so important is because we have to unlock a certain secret area here where we will be fishing, and it's only in that fishing spot that we can fish out 2 of the items that are required for building the rocket. Haunted house is over. We could catch some animals there, but it's not necessary. It takes a long time. Sorry, haunted house animals. Instead, we go down here and catch Cycloelephant. As you can tell by the name, it's an elephant-like animal that operates on a cycle. And it's very specific times of the day. I think it's only like twice every day. And this is one of the hours where it does move in a way that we can actually catch it midair. We go back into the mushroom forest. We're not done here yet. In fact, we need to pick up 2 sets of the 5 types of mushrooms. Mushrooms. And this time we're actually gonna eat some along the way in the exact order that is needed to trigger the ritual. So we pick up an extra set of these so that we can perform the ritual later, because it needs to be done at least twice. I actually kind of love the puzzle you need to solve to figure out this order, and unfortunately you can only really solve it once for the first time in your life, unless you have a bad memory. But yeah, it involves some language decoding, which is kind of up my alley. And you basically speak to the Kakunte, you get a little hint as to what the words mean, and then you decipher that. But yes, we are eating the mushrooms along the way, and we're also stalling for a bit along the way to catch an animal up here. So animals have 2 types of behaviors in this game. Some only appear or are catchable at certain hours of the day, and others are not dependent on the game clock. They simply appear after a certain amount of time passes after you enter a map. In this case, we have been on the Mushroom Forest map for long enough to catch it here. And finally, we finish off with the last mushroom, which lets us start the ritual. This is Totateruri, a coelacanth-like animal, and it's basically kind of like a sacred animal that the Kakunte people worship. And of course, like many other animals, it has been murdered by the hero. And we do want to revive it if we want to become friends with the Kakunte people. So let's do the ritual. It's a good time for some donations as well, if you have any.
So I'd actually like to give a little bit of a check-in for everyone in the audience first. We understand that the last few years have been very stressful times for many people across the world, and this has put a huge strain on people's mental health. In the United States alone, 21% of adults reported suffering from some kind of mental illness. That's roughly 52.9 million people. Please remember, reach out for help if you need it. You're not alone. But on the little bit more of the fun side of things, we have some fun little runs coming up as well. So if you want to see more fun RPG goodness, we have the Legends of Heroes Trails in the Sky, the 3rd run coming up right after this. We also have both Live Alive and Final Fantasy X not long after that. And there's a whole bunch of different incentives coming up for all of those as well. So if you want to get your little grain of rice change on some of those runs, maybe you can change if you're killing or sparing Mad Dog. Maybe you're choosing the voice language in Live Alive. But there's a whole bunch of ways you can contribute and make an impact on these runs. So go ahead and check on those. We also have a whole bunch of cool prizes, by the way. Those prizes look fantastic. The Buster Sword replica looks amazing. The custom Game Boy Advance SP is also really fun. The artwork on that is really cool. There's a whole bunch of shadow boxes and things like that. So there's a whole bunch of ways you can get something back for your donations, and we appreciate all of them.
All right, it's nighttime, so it's almost time to go back home and sleep. But on our way, we're gonna catch another animal here. This is also a little bit RNG. It's actually quite annoying. We have to wait for this guy, his name is Burn, to successfully pull off a guitar solo. And he's gonna be making a lot of mistakes along the way. But once he manages to achieve his goal, oh, there we go. It was actually quite quick. Hey Boy will appear. Hey Boy is an animal that appears on this side of the map. We actually can only catch him if we walk in from the right side here. Burn just simply gets too embarrassed if we approach him too closely while he's trying to pull off the lick. But yes, Hey Boy is worth a whopping 4 love points. You can actually tell how much love you get from anything by the amount of hearts that spin out after you complete the task. Here's a little treat for our marathon viewers. We don't usually do this, but like I said, there's a moon disc system in here. We can just buy any song we like and play it in any order. So we're gonna be buying some tunes here just to spice up the run a little bit, as most of it doesn't really have any sort of soundtrack. And this is also why we need some extra money, because the discs cost money. It's okay. The boy slumps a little bit as we approach the point when he's gonna pass out. We're of course not gonna let that happen, as the bed is right here. So that flower right there you just saw is a kind of like a fast travel system. We picked up the pollen, or the pollen mochi, or something like that. There's 3 pollen food items spread out around the world, and they're attached to these flowers. And if you pollinate the flower at your home with those items, you can actually fast travel towards those points, those 3 points around the world. So it's pretty convenient. It only goes one way though, unfortunately. For traveling back home, you have a different system. We're gonna see that later. Alright, it's time for day 3, Rise and Shine. We're gonna be playing some tunes here. It's a pretty good time to, make a playlist. Including the little flower CD that we picked up back at the bar in Castletown. That is the one that's actually gonna be useful in obtaining love. Right now we go back to Rainbow Rocks. There's a huge map, and we didn't catch a certain animal that we could have caught on day 1, but for this marathon safer route, we decided not to, and we can still catch it right here on the 3rd day. This is also another event that you usually don't witness in PB attempts, but again, for safety, this is an easy 1 love point where we talk to this guy who lectures us on people scribbling on trees and carving their names into them. That's not very good for the environment. We walk into this secret little spot. This is where Granby's dog Tao often goes. just to chill out. I don't know. But this is also where two of the animals can be caught, and these are Kovan and Ovan. They always appear one after another, so it's very easy for love points to love for each of them. And they can also be very RNG. We actually got extremely lucky here that they appear right away. We don't even have to wait any time. And these are kind of based on like the little symbolic thingies you make with like eggplant and cucumber, I believe, for the Japanese festival. I think it's called Oban. It's quite curious. There's a lot of like different inspirations for animal designs in Moon. And once again, we're not covering even half of all the content. I'm not sure if half of all the animals, but yeah, I definitely recommend checking out the full game and just like doing all the quests, catching all the animals. There's a lot more interesting stuff that you're not going to see in a beat the game any percent speedrun. We wait here in case Semimaru spawns here. Semimaru is another fairly random animal that I'm actually going to be quiet here. Semimaru spawns at 4 different points around Rainbow Rocks, which is the huge map we're on right now. And it's completely random, so you have to judge by the sound to figure out where Semimaru is. And it's also like very specifically this middle of the day segment. And again, you get 2 love for that. Most animals reward with 2 love. Only some of them give more. And that's why animals are the main source of love for us, generally. Here's another one, Glutandra. This is another animal, just like Rockboy, that spawns based on the amount of time you have spent on the current map. And most NPC quests only reward 1 love, so compared to the 2 love you get from animals and the relative short amount of time you spend on average on each animal, that's definitely the better way to gather love points. So here's another pollen food item that we can bring back to our home flower, and later on we can just go from our home straight to this place. This is Yenum Frog. This is a little exploit which is very cool. This was found all the way back when there were only tasks of this game, not even RTA runs. So normally you're supposed to throw a coin into the fountain, which lures the Yenum Frog off of the grass, because we normally can't step on the grass, but there's a little corner there with a couple of pixels where you can actually just stand there, look down left, and catch the Yenum Frog right away. And now we're done with that. We walk into Curious Shop. So Curious, this man who is basically like a merchant we can sell items to. This is where we sell the moon tier for 750 yenum, which is quite good. And he also sells various items. So during the day he sells the one thing that we'll need right now, which is the fishing rod. Actually, the 2 things, if you consider bait a separate thing, but yes. And bait is consumable, which is quite unfortunate for the speedrun, because that means the RNG can really screw you. Normally in PB attempts we only buy as little as 6, but for marathon runs we can buy anywhere up to like 20, 25. And each time you catch something that you either want or don't need, you lose a bait. And that can be quite dangerous. So we're buying a lot right now. So the RNG with fishing in the mushroom forest, we need 2 items specifically, and there's a total of 8 items that are possible to catch from that fishing spot. And basically, the amount of bait we buy is the amount of attempts we get, and you can figure out the probability from that basically through some calculations. I believe for 6 bait, it's only about 30% chance that you get both of the items you need, within 6 attempts. With 20 attempts, you get somewhere around 85, 86%. So it's a lot better for marathon safety. We're also going to be stashing away some of the bait just to make room in the inventory. Nightfall, and Curio descends to the lower level. It's also during nighttime that we can catch this animal, MacArthur, who appears with each time Curio blows his smoke. This is also another very simple to love. And during the night, Curio sells slightly different items. We are going to need just one of them, and that is going to be chloroform. Now, I just want to put out a disclaimer here. This is not how chloroform works, but we're gonna use it to put an insomniac guy to sleep. That's gonna happen later. Oh, we're just buying it preemptively here. We can head back now, back home, and there's a little tight event here that we might not want to miss. Well, we definitely don't want to miss, but we could miss it. I think tecchan is on a good pace here, though. If while leaving, you see Tao walking in from the top left corner of the screen there, that means you're just in time. So Tao is going to be a little bit faster than us. His usual night routine is to zoom through rainbow rocks, pee on a tree, and then go into the little secret spot that we visited earlier. But the peeing on the tree is the crucial part here, because that causes this animal, Elmo, to appear right after. And it's only for a few seconds, so we don't have a large window here. We don't want to lose too much time before this. And of course, that's another easy to love. I'm also going to be collecting the money back. The yen bags are probably the main source of money you would normally get in like a normal moon game. Of course, with the moon tier in the speedrun, it becomes a lot easier to just like leave a lot of money bags behind. That's all, and for today we are done. tecchan is probably gonna sleep at a very specific tick of the clock. Which actually, he wasted enough time, I think, that he doesn't even have to wait in front of the bed, which is nice. We can just sleep here. Basically, we want to have as much leeway for the next day as possible. So once again, we collected a bunch of love, a bunch more love actually, because we got to do more due to having more action limit. And this time we're level 12, which is exactly the required amount of level, at least according to the route, that you need for this next day. Alright, this is a very important day. Actually not even one day, it's gonna be several days chained together. That's how much action limit we have. We're gonna give the Rainbow Rocks pollen, dumpling item to our flower, so that we can travel there later. This part concerns the ritual. Actually, we're gonna ignore the ghost fish for now. Get as many as we can while walking through though. But that ties into the ritual we did earlier in the mushroom forest. For now, we're gonna wait here in the middle of this circle. I don't know what you call it, like the orbit path of the bird here. This is Shadowbird. This is actually quite a hard trick that tecchan is going for. I think he's done it pretty well. Usually you pull out the body first and then you sit in the middle and wait for the bird to come down, but you can actually wait for the bird to come down, and then while it does the animation of landing, you go out and pull the body and quickly go back. It's actually quite tight, so you don't want to mess this up. tecchan, of course, does this perfectly. You get free love from Shadowbird, which is absolutely fantastic. We hope for Master Leaf here to potentially reassemble itself into a full form. Master Leaf is very random, so can be a bit of a point of frustration as well in speedruns. This is where we also buy the Hager badge. So the scientist we met earlier, he has a laboratory here, and we can only access it if we have the Hager badge. There are two ways to obtain it. The easier way is to not spend any money and just go to like a certain house way west of this place, where you can just find it in the fridge. But that takes a long time, so it actually saves time to just like pick up a bunch of money and just buy the badge with 1000 yenum. Alright, here's the insomniac guy I was talking about. This is Cave Guy. He cannot sleep due to this animal called Dream Alien preventing him from doing so. So what we do is we give the guy chloroform. Don't know why, but he just goes to sleep after that, and that's how we can make Dream Alien appear, and we catch it. We're just gonna let Cave Guy sleep for a bit there. We're gonna return there later. At the very end of the daytime period here, just before nightfall, a firework shoots out. And using this firework, we can launch ourselves inside this little well, where at the bottom, a very peculiar family lives. So this guy, he's a firework creator, and he has been working on what he calls the ultimate firework without much success. And what do you know? We actually have all the tools to help him create the perfect firework. Now this is another puzzle you have to solve. You basically have to like find a stone tablet with some instructions and do the math based on it to figure out what numbers to input here. But we can simply, finish the game, memorize what numbers were, and then just reproduce the same numbers every time in speedruns. And that is the sequence. So that's the secret combination to create the ultimate firework. And this is going to be one of the 5 rocket parts. This is actually the first one we're going to be collecting. This one goes inside the rocket, believe it or not, a firework. Or presumably a firework so powerful that it can, power a whole rocket. What do you know? Alright, our job is done here, so we just launch ourselves out. We're gonna also pick up the trash firework. It's not really useful for the rocket, but it's gonna be useful for catching a certain animal later. And we're back in the cave. where we wake up the cave guy and get love for, well, letting him sleep for once. Cave guy sells octolips, and this is the method for fast traveling back home from wherever you are. So the flowers are a one-way trip to, certain parts of the world, but you cannot go back home. Instead, you have to eat an octolips to travel back. And vice versa, you cannot really eat an octolips to travel anywhere you want. It only takes you back to the last place you slept. Octolips is extremely important, naturally, because of the fast travel, being, as always, really strong in speedruns. And for safety, we buy more than we usually would, just in case something happens. There's a little animation that plays when day transitions into night. Sometimes you can just wait in certain locations where the animation for some reason doesn't play. But this time we didn't wait because we need to catch some animals that we missed before. This is either Hana-chan or Koma-chan. I believe this one is Hana-chan. It's quite an annoying animal to catch because it constantly zooms around and runs away from you and can teleport. But tecchan didn't have too much trouble here, thankfully. We also do want to catch Master Leaf if possible. And here it is. Fantastic luck here. We didn't get to see Master Leaf reassemble the first time we ran through the tropical fields, but this time he does it right away. So he basically just decides to reassemble into full form at random parts of the map. And this time we managed to catch him right in the middle of doing so. This is Tommy. Tommy is just a little scared guy, and if you approach him too fast, he just pops and disappears. So you have to approach him slowly, at a stutter step towards him. And as a role, he rewards you with 3 love, which is again more than the average of 2. So we collect these ghost fish. These are the scattered pieces of Totateri's soul. So the big coelacanth we saw in the mushroom forest, the way to revive it is to collect the pieces of its soul that have been, shattered and spread throughout the tropical fields. And once we have done this, we can perform the second ritual. That's going to be later on. And finally actually revive Totateri for good. I'm gonna give the pollen bun, which picked up in the tropical fields, to our home flower here. This is probably the closest location you fast travel to, but it can sometimes be useful too, especially if you're short on time. I'm gonna wait here until the middle of the night. It's just plays into the system that I mentioned before of how certain animals spawn a certain amount of period of time after you enter the map. And in this case, there's a certain animal that will basically spawn or be catchable at the exact same time as the giant cactuses will go down. These giant cactuses block our way. In the meantime, we also play the music CD we picked up at the start of the game. And if you play that and walk next to these flowers, you can actually revive them. So the CD belonged to the flower girl in the town, and that's why listening to it brings these flowers back to life, and you get three love for that. It's a very nice offering from the desert flowers. We wait here. The cactuses are not tied to how much time we spend on the map, but just to times of the day, specifically the beginning and the end of nighttime. They pop up and go down. And in this case, those cactuses were blocking our way, but just as they go down, we timed our entry onto the map the exact way so that we can catch this mole animal, simply called Molio. And all the animals in the desert give us 3 love, which would be lovely if they weren't so time-consuming to catch. So Molio is actually going to be the only animal we get from the desert. And it's daytime again. We're going to ignore the guy sitting on the cliff here, or any of the animals. They can take quite a long time to catch. Instead, we go further here. And this is the Valley of the Winds. There are 3 animals here, worth 2 love each. And there's just enough leeway in the route here, just a big enough slot here to catch all 3 of them. But we can get unlucky. So Tecchan played a little safe here. Usually that animal that zooms around, it zooms around at very random intervals, and you can be a little bit reckless and try to catch it and miss it, and that messes up your catch of another animal, which is Cherby. So Cherby here, you simply stay in one spot and wait for the idle animation to happen. And the idle animation is just us sitting down. And if we do that for enough time, Cherby actually just appears to us and presents us, the opportunity to catch it. Koma-chan here is an animal that simply appears in 3 different spots on the map. 2 of them are catchable, and depending on who we caught first, Koma-chan is gonna appear in different spots of the map, and we can actually tell which one is gonna be. And here's Mr. Naki, I would say most annoying animal to catch out of the 3, and one of the most annoying animals to catch in the whole game. One of the few mechanical challenges actually in the speedruns. Most of the speedrun is fairly simple mechanical execution wise, but this one you have to time very tightly. Tecchan makes very easy work of all 3 of the animals. And suddenly, now we have a lot of time to work with. I'm gonna be waiting here for Mino. You can see its body just in the corner there. And the way you catch Mino here is you wait for this puddle to come around and present trash to it. Or in this case, well, there's several different items that qualify as trash. In this case, you can just present the trash firework we picked up next to the well just a little earlier. And that's a very simple catch of Mino. Now that we're done with that, well, there's a lot of downtime right now in the route. Usually you kind of do everything not as perfectly as Tecchan does here, and you have a lot less time to wait. But now we need to be at the throne room at the end of the day. Well, not the end of the day, but like before nightfall is what I mean. And we're a little bit too early for that. So we're probably gonna have some time to wait there in the castle. And in the meantime, we just make our way there through the Rainbow Rocks. If you're short on time, you can take the fast travel there, but if not, it actually saves a little bit of kind of like loading time, transition times. Just going straight here on foot.
Would this be a good time to jump in then?
Yes, sure, of course.
All right. Well, first off, I would like to extend a very heartfelt thank you to Belle, who sent us $75 with no comment. We appreciate that so much. It's going to go a very long way. And then the other thing I would like to say is, to our viewers, you may have noticed I have a bit of a cold and I've got a stuffy nose, and I spoke to my doctor, and it turns out the best medicine for that is going to be to meet the arena fights incentive for Legends of Heroes Trails in the Sky the Third. So if we want to help me feel better, start getting those donations in. I want that donation incentive met ASAP.
All right, the king is here, and we talked to him to get a business card from him. One more thing, we show him this Hager badge. So there's two types of Hager badges, the regular one and the premium golden one, and it's only with the golden one that you can actually get into the Hager laboratories. The king, again, is a little bit childish, a little bit naive, so when he sees our black badge, which is the regular ones, he just wants to, trade, because he likes the color of black better, I suppose. So, in exchange, we get the premium badge, and that is how we get into Hager Laboratories later. Alright. Now that we're done with that, again, we have some downtime, so, again, if you have any donations, anything to say, go ahead.
I absolutely have plenty of things to say. Like, for example, the National Alliance on Mental Illness currently work is informed by more than 40 years of inspiring conversation, support, and action that ultimately strengthens the fabric of communities and promotes opportunities to thrive for anyone touched by mental illness. NAMI draws on past accomplishments, the wisdom of lived experience, and the current scientific understanding of mental health to help those suffering. So we appreciate anything you can send our way to help. And we do have some stuff coming in. For example, we have $25 that came in from Abraxas, who says, "Have a wonderful marathon." And they gave us a delightful little smiley face to brighten up our day. So thank you very much for that donation. Is there time for a little bit more?
Yeah, sure, go ahead. There's still a lot of waiting.
Fantastic. So we do have a bunch of other runs coming up. Like I said, there's the Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky, the third run coming. That has two open donation incentives right now, the Arena Fights and the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Blind incentive. Those are both still in their early days. So if we want to get those done and see more RPG goodness, get those donations in. Coming up after that, we do have Live, which also has an open donation incentive. It actually has quite a few because we can choose the voice language, Killer Splayer, Mad Dog. We can name Akira, name Cube, name Earth and Heart, just a whole bunch of different naming incentives for that one. So get your name in. Some of those don't even have a name selected yet at all. So it would be wonderful to maybe see one of your names in there or someone in the community that you love very much. We also have Final Fantasy not long after that, and a small saga run by Mobius Wolf. They're going to be running any percent glitchless, so lots to do, lots to stay tuned, lots to watch. And then I do want to give a little bit of a shout out to an artist who deserves special thanks. They worked on our overlays. Uro, they can be found over at Twitter at OUROLEN. So thank you so much for that wonderful work on our overlay. It really does help, and it looks wonderful.
All right, we've waited enough, and here is the, well, it's kind of a fan favorite scene, but if you don't want spoilers, you can close your ears, close your eyes. It's quite epic though. So our plans in the castle basically consisted of talking to the king at night, where he explains his plans to send us to the moon. Have Dr. Hager help us build the rocket, that kind of stuff. And the second part is waiting for Fred here. He's one of the guards, and he has a passion for singing. Wonder what he could be a reference to. And not only is this a fun scene, it also rewards you with a fantastic amount of love points. Get a whopping 6. That's really helpful. Just no matter how much time it takes in the route, it's always useful to have a single source of 6 love points. And here you see the first use of Octolips, where we simply eat it and travel back home instantly. And this day is really tight. We actually ate a cookie there to prolong our durability up all the way up to the very start, the very first hour of next day's morning. That's how tight the route is. We're going to be doing everything very swiftly here. And since we have already caught Master Leaf, we can just proceed straight into Hager's laboratories now that we have the golden badge. The king gave us a letter, and in that letter, he describes his plans to Hager, so we're going to have to talk to Hager and give him the letter. And then after that, the rocket building project will start, for which we already have one item, I believe, the firework, and we can take care of the rest later. So this is the part where if you don't have a premium badge, just a regular one, it just kicks you out. That's why we have to get the golden one preemptively. This is Dr. Hager in his natural habitat. We give him the letter. He's a little bit, snobbish. Not deep in his heart, he's actually a pretty nice person, and while he might sound kind of grumpy, he is actually very glad to help us on this project. The only thing he requires from us is that we find the ingredients, the rocket parts, ourselves. So there's 5 parts to this. The navigation system, the cooling system, rocket propulsion, some fuel, and as well as a power console. We already have one of them. The firework is actually the propulsion system we need. We're gonna withhold that item from him for now, and proceed further, deeper into Technopolis. So this place doesn't actually have much to do with Dr. Hager. Maybe he just built it and then just let the ecosystem develop itself. But this is where robots live, and as well as some animals. This is... oh god, I'm actually gonna struggle to remember the exact names of these animals, but essentially they're based on famous musicians' names. I think this one is Philip, based on Philip someone. This is actually the one musician I don't remember, but Philip appears behind one of these teleportation booths. He just likes, phone ringing sounds. And it's pretty easy to love. There's another animal that we don't normally catch in regular PB attempt runs, but for safety, this is also an easy to love. Again, I struggle to remember this exact... oh, this is Keith, isn't it? Keith... any famous musician Keiths?
I'm
I don't
sorry.
know music that well.
I forgot Lehman Drongovich.
Oh, right. Okay, so there is a glitch. There is a glitch concerning Riemann. Alright, so let me first explain what this apartment structure is like. There are 999 rooms. Just, there's only 3 slots for numbers, so 999 rooms. Most of them are empty. You have to figure out kind of which rooms actually have something in them. Through a series of puzzles. In this case, we can catch some animals in certain rooms where we know they are. And there's also a room with Remen. And unfortunately, tecchan seems to have not set it up before, but usually we set it up before the run starts. Controversial, I know, but this is what the community has decided to allow, is to set up the Remen glitch in a different save file, and when you soft reboot the game, the completion state of this exact minigame actually carries over into whatever next session you play. But yes, here we catch... I definitely didn't forget this animal's name. Well, it's gonna show up anytime anyway. Beck, there we go. Well, Beck is self-explanatory, isn't it? Now, making up for Remen glitch might be a little bit tricky, but thankfully we did do some safe strats, so it's actually not the worst. This is what a lot of the difficulty of speedrunning Moon comes down to, is just, when something goes wrong, you have to react and learn and quickly adapt to it. There aren't a lot of sources of love in general in Technopolis. But the few that are available at your disposal, you have to very smartly kind of juggle around should anything go wrong. So for now, we're gonna skip Remen and catch this animal which appears during day. This is... come on, memory. Jimmy? I'm gonna say this is Jimmy. Alright, that is Jimmy, and again, self-explanatory. I might know none of the Phillips and Keiths, but at least I do know a Jimmy. Alright, final room we're gonna visit is 113, where Roby resides. Roby is an old robot that just, hangs around Technopolis. And what we can do is play a little mini game. This only happens on the weekends, so we route it the exact way to catch Roby on this specific day. And we can play this minigame to get a chip from Roby's brain. Alright, a little mistake here, no worries. We can still recover.
Well, if you have some time later, I would appreciate it if you can let me know when I can chime in with some donations.
Yes, sure. Alright, that's the first level. It gets progressively harder with more notches. It's just a simple memorization game. And this is the final level. Alright, wonderful. So, completing this minigame lets us collect the second of the rocket parts, which is an old chip somehow that works for the rocket. Well, I'm not a rocket scientist, so I'm not gonna comment on that. And we're almost passing out, so we're gonna quickly teleport back home and sleep as soon as possible. And that is the end of that very long sequence of days. And you can go ahead with donations now if you want to.
Fantastic, because I actually have quite a few things to read out for y'all. First up, we have $25 from Telekinesis, who says, happy to donate to multiple great causes, Nami and the healing of our host Alara. So personally, I would like to give you a thank you for that one. We also have $15 that came in from Edward Mollis, who says, I can't believe I missed the start of RPG Limit Break 2024. I love this event every year for showcasing wonderful RPGs and stories. Enjoy this beautiful moon run. And then we have a $15 donation that came in from none other than Pochu, who is from our French restream. They sent in a French version and an English version of the donation, so I will just read you the English one, where they say, thank you for this incredible event and great cause. Good luck for the next. So thank you again for that. And if you weren't aware, we do have a couple of restreams going on. So quick shout out to the people involved in our Forage language restreams. Our French restream can be found at twitch.tv/LeFrenchRestream. And our Japanese restream is found at twitch.tv/Japanese_restream. If those restreams can help you better enjoy the marathon, please go check them out and send them some love.
So we are back in Mushroom Forest, and this is where we perform the second ritual. It's the exact same order of colored mushrooms. Excuse me, mushrooms. And get a little trippy cutscene here. The second time you perform the ritual, just don't mind this. This is a character that you normally don't even see in casual playthroughs unless you go all the way to, 100%. But yes, let's just finish the ritual, and now that we have collected all ghost fish, the ritual should be a success. So, white, the final mushroom, and once again we meet the Kakunta people and join in on their dance. After this, once we have revived the Tetteri, which is, by the way, a huge 8 love as well, once we have done that, it also unlocks the fishing spot for us. Reviving their sacred animal really earns the Kakunta people's trust, so they show us to this secret fishing spot. And like I said, this is where we need 2 items that go into the rocket. And they're both very random chance. 8 items in total, and we need both of the ones that we actually need for the rocket. So this is Totateri's soul returning to its body. I honestly don't know what happens. Okay, so all the animals, they actually don't, when you revive them, they don't actually stay in this world. But it seems like Totateri is the one animal that kinda stays, maybe doesn't. I am not sure why the Kakunti people would be happy if we brought the fish back to life and then it flew away, but either way, they love us now. And we just have to talk to one specific guy here. Will tell us about the secret fishing spot. Once again, huge RNG roadblock for a lot of speedruns. A lot of speedruns just purely die to this after an otherwise great run. But we took some extra, safety measures just for the marathon, and hopefully The RNG gods should be the RNG coelacanths should be kind to us. Alright, here it is. Let's pray for good luck. So we need a fridge and a game station, which is kind of like a knockoff version of the PlayStation. Both of these items have very specific patterns, and if tecchan doesn't see the right pattern, he's gonna just like throw away the attempt, so that not to waste too much time. It's also a random amount of time for the fish to bite in the first place. Alright, this seems like a good pattern that could be the game station. Let's see what it is. And it's a game station. Very good. Yes, believe it or not, the game station does go into the rocket. It's gonna be like a navigation console type of thing. The other item we need is the fridge. Again, don't question it, being part of the rocket. But there we go. And that is unfortunately not a fridge. We actually have a limited time as well, not just limited bait. So if we don't have the right items in time, tecchan is actually just gonna teleport out. That's what happens. And we're gonna come back here later, basically. So, not getting both of the items you need on this day, at this point in the run, is probably the biggest time loss you can have in the whole run. Can lose you up to anywhere between 5 and 10, and I would say 15 minutes if you get really unlucky, just due to purely bad luck alone. But we don't have a lot of time right now, so we're just going to teleport right here next to Castle Town and catch this animal that we could have caught earlier, but due to routing, we catch it. At this point, this is Drakey. You saw Drakey being slain right in front of our eyes in the one of the cutscenes at the beginning. And now we finally bring it back to life. Right now we're heading to a very specific place. I don't know if tecchan is gonna go into the bar here. There might not be enough time, but we'll see. But essentially past this bar is a little birdcage. And here's a character that in a casual playthrough you would have met way earlier, but this is Yoshida, a little colorful bird. This is another guiding voice character of sorts. Normally you know, in a casual playthrough you bring items to him and he might or might not have an explanation for what the item does and how it works. He, I imagine, considers himself very smart, but whether he's actually as smart as he thinks he is, it's debatable. But either way, he's very kind to us, and he has this kind of travel agency of sorts. And it's through him that we can actually go to a certain place called Bali Island. So this is kind of like a mini version of the rocket ride at the end. So I mentioned rocket ride is like 4.5 days. This is more like 2 days or something. But either way, you need enough action limit for this as well. The minimum level for accessing this island and surviving this trip is level 13. We have passed that long time ago. But yes, generally the way these cutscenes work is they're just really long with not much happening, and the whole point is that throughout the entire time the in-game clock still runs. So if you happen to pass out, you pass out and get a game over. You can't really do anything with that. And I suppose this is a good spot for some more donations, if you will.
So I'm actually going to do a couple things other than donations real quick. First off, I'd like to remind you all, RPG Limit Break is excited to announce that we've launched our own merchandise store. From hoodies to coffee mugs to even fanny packs, you're sure to find new favorite RPG Limit Break branded gear. And the best part is, all proceeds of our merchandise sales go directly towards funding RPG Limit Break, so we can continue to bring you these awesome live events every year. To visit our store, please visit www.store.rpglimitbreak.com. And we want to keep getting those donations in, so make sure you mark that you're doing it towards an incentive, because we have a whole bunch of incentives we still want to meet. And make sure you check out what those prizes are, because you want to hit those minimum donation amounts for those prizes. There's some that you can get as a sum, so you can do multiple donations over the entire event. Some you have to do a total donation amount in one go. So if you want to get the Black Mage Perler, for example, that's $5. The Dark Souls Mini Shadow Box, that's $15. But that Game Boy Advance SP, the custom one with the cool graphic on the treasure chest, that is a $75 sum donation, and the Buster Sword replica is $250 across the entire event. So those close at different times. A lot of them close with Live Alive, which is not too far away. So get those donations in if you want those prizes. They're fantastic. They really do look wonderful. And again, take your opportunity and mark that you want to do it towards a donation incentive as well. Is there still time for a little bit more?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
It is a very long cutscene.
No
Yes, go
problem.
ahead.
So did you know that roughly 1 out of 5 Americans live with a mental health condition? We at RPG Limit Break are proud to be raising money for the National Alliance on Mental Illness, a charity that works tirelessly towards cracking the code of mental illness through various means such as education, leadership, and increasing availability of care. Please join RPG Limit Break in supporting this incredible worthy cause.
Oh yes, this is the Thunder God, by the way. He's kind of just, part of the background in this cutscene, but he's actually kind of important. He's the sole reason why you have to go to Bali Bali Island to catch certain animals in the desert. Actually, if I remember correctly, one animal in the desert that relies on you seeing this Thunder God guy, which for some reason is just a guy playing drums. Okay. But yes, that animal is actually worth a lot. 3 love, plus 3 love you get from another animal nearby. It just doesn't fit into the route. We're already near the end of the run, and so having to, to go all the way to Bali Bali Island and then come back to the desert to catch it, it's just not worth it. There's also a very specific reason why we go to Bali Bali Island at the very end of the run. Well, not really end, but really late in the run. And it's because when you sleep in that new house that we were given, the third time you do it, there's like a minute-long cutscene that plays. And we actually figured out that you can skip that cutscene if you instead go to Bali Bali Island, which after you complete this whole thing, it automatically makes you go to sleep. But because you did the Bali Bali Island thing, instead of, walking to your bed and, pressing the action button, it doesn't play the cutscene. I don't even know why, but that's just how it works, and we routed the speedrun in a way that just conveniently skips the cutscene like that. Bali Bali Island is where we perform a set of music minigames to get another item for the rocket. Well, you'll see later. So this is Marisuma. He came to this island to learn to play an instrument. These little things are signal monkeys, and they play the gamelan. And Marisuma wants to learn how to play the instrument just as well, but he is struggling. Instead, we can come here and learn the instrument ourselves. It's actually a pretty simple minigame, although it can make you stumble a little bit on your first playthrough. But it's just a melody you have to memorize, and then you play only one note out of the whole melody, and you just have to fill it in every time it comes up. So that's the third out of 4 levels. The fourth one is supposed to be the most difficult. Honestly, is getting a little jealous of our skills. And there we go. Did all 4 levels of the main game perfectly. Narasuma feels a little bit down on himself for not being able to match our skill, but we can talk to him and cheer him up a little bit. That results in 2 love. Of course, that's not the entire reason we came here. We came here for an item. That bottle over there. And I'm just gonna say right ahead, I do not condone, children drinking alcohol, but this is signal liquor. We're actually gonna use it as the fuel for the rocket. Again, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but just roll with it, I guess, for the sake of Moon. And so we're gonna join in on a little drinking party with the monkeys. And as a gift, they will give us this bottle of signal liquor. We can give it to Dr. Hager to finish the rocket. And just as we're getting drunk, Yoshida is here to pick us up. He's a little concerned for our health, understandably. Alright, and I think this is where the cutscene was supposed to play, and it doesn't, because of the very clever routing. Even though we missed the Riemann glitch, we still managed to reach level 22 as we needed. So props to tecchan for recovering in style. And now the only thing we have left is to catch that one missing item that we didn't get from the fishing spot. And hopefully, we have to get really unlucky to have to, go back to the shop and buy more bait, since we bought quite a lot of it. But hopefully we can just catch the fridge in one go. Alright, and now that the fishing spot is unlocked, we can actually just take a path from the left side here as well. And again, time for some pre-RNG. Hopefully the fridge comes this time. Nope, that is a tire. I suppose you could, read some donations and whatnot while we hope to find the right item here.
Sure thing. We actually do have a donation that came in from River Hollow Mental Health. They sent in $25 with no comment. We appreciate you so much, River Hollow Mental Health. That was a big, huge help. And I'm sure you understand why, given the name. And I would like to remind everyone, though The chat's been fantastic. The donation comments have been fantastic. But in case anyone needs to hear it, in an effort to support the mission statement of NAMI, we'd like to encourage all our viewers in chat and our donors to avoid using mental health-related pejoratives when describing situations that are extraordinary. So this includes terms like crazy, insane, mental, nuts, bonkers, etc. So we ask that you be mindful in the specific language you use, as many people don't realize these are pejoratives. Instead, consider substituting them with other amazing words such as ridiculous, wild, or bananas. We greatly appreciate your cooperation in this, and we hope that you can carry this forward into your everyday lives.
And there we go. That is the fridge. So thankfully it didn't take us too long to catch both of the items we needed. Now we have all 5 rocket parts. At level 22 we barely have enough stamina to survive the rocket trip, so since we already lost some action limit from sitting there and fishing, it might not be a good idea to go straight to the rocket. But let's see what Tecchan wants to do. I feel like this is a very daring move. There might be the plans to, go straight to Hager and give him the items first and then sleep afterwards. So again, we enter the Hager laboratories. This long sequence where they verify our batch ownership. And very much looks like an evil, villain's lair, but trust me, Hager is actually a good guy. And now that we have all 5 rocket parts, hopefully we can just go to the moon without a problem. Alright, so first of all, fuel. Signal occur. This is gonna be done with almost every item we give to him. He's just gonna be like, what is this you brought me? That's ridiculous. That's bananas. And then he's gonna have a realization and be like, wait, this is actually useful. This bottle of alcohol, we can actually use it as fuel. Why not? Second item, this one he actually recognizes right away, maybe because he was the one to build the chip. But this is Gobi's Electrobrain. Again, he calls our item nonsense, and then he's like, oh, wait a moment. This is a usable item. So that's the game station. Honestly, this is probably the closest thing to what you could actually use in a space mission. I do remember a story of like I think the American military using a bunch of PlayStation 3s or something like that to build a supercomputer. So game station in a rocket, not out of question. At least the controller, the iconic PlayStation controller, might actually be one of the best ways to control something that isn't a video game. We installed a cooling system into the rocket in the form of a fridge. This one just straight up doesn't make sense, but again, just ignore it. Finally, we have a propulsion system in the form of, well, funny how this is the last item we insert into the rocket, but it is the firework, the first item we got. And completion status for the rocket is 100%.
persönlich Kautschuk. Die meisten sind unten, aber nicht kein Besitzer. Uninteressant. Landrentabel in Zahlen.
We actually do get 2 love for completing the rocket spell, but now it's not useful anymore. Since we already reached level 22. And in the old version of the route, we actually did, get the 2 love and then go back to sleep to convert that love into love levels. But eventually we figured out that it just wastes too much time to, go into Hager's lab and then sleep and then go back here to finish the rocket, or to, board the rocket. So this is just extra 2 love that we gather after we're done with our mission. Now that the rocket's done, we can finally step onto it and begin our long journey to the moon. I have no idea if we're gonna survive it, but let's hope for the best. We should have just enough stamina. And there we go. The rocket has been launched. So we're about 20 minutes away from like a typical run finish. And 13 of that is gonna be the rocket ride. Like with the Bali Island, is it Birdcage, right? It's just 4.5 in-game days that play in real time, and the whole time you're not gonna see the clock in the corner, but it's gonna run, and our stamina is gonna deplete. That's why we need to be at this level. But yes, 13 minutes. I imagine we're gonna have plenty of time to both, read out some donations and talk about other things. So if you will, you can just go ahead right now.
Great and fantastic. So first off, I would like to thank Ray for the $50 donation. They say, enjoying the stream a ton, makes work a lot more bearable. Save the anime... Wait, wrong marathon. Let's get those arena fights. So thank you so much, Jay. That was fantastic. It was really funny. And in the meantime, I also want to give some love to the RPG Limit Break partners, including the Yeti. So if you are like me and you've been watching these marathons for a while, you probably own a Yeti shirt or two. So RPG Limit Break is proud to be partnered with the Yeti, who have designed 3 exclusive t-shirts and an enamel pin for this year's event. If you would like to see the awesome designs, please visit theyeti.com/RPG Limit Break, RPGLB specifically, and check them out. Remember, these items are only available for the duration of the marathon, so get yours before it's too late. Now, you might be wondering, where are we? What are you watching? Well, you are watching RPG Limit Break 2024 live from Salt Lake City, Utah. We are the raising money for NAMI, or the National Alliance on Mental Illness. NAMI was formed in 1979 as a grassroots advocacy organization by a group of parents whose children suffered from serious mental illness. They have maintained that focus to this day. So this is going to a fantastic cause. Mental health is one of the causes that's really near and dear to my heart, so I appreciate every single donation that's coming in. So I would like to thank you personally, as well as on behalf of RPG Limit Break and NAMI. It really does go a fantastic and long way. And if you want to send more in, again, we have that arena fight incentive that's still waiting, and we have the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire blind incentive as well. Those are both coming up for the next run, which is Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky the 3rd. So let's get those done as quickly as possible so that we can get those 2 incentives met by the time that they're needed. Now, chat, I also want to remind you, take care of yourself. This is a good time. Drink some water, stretch a little bit. And if you have someone near and dear to you that might be struggling, this might be a good time to send them a quick text. Just check in on them. Let them know that they're remembered and that they're cared about. Now, I will remind you, this is a pretty long cutscene, as our dear friends have told us. So if you want your donations read, this is a really, really good time, because I'm going to have plenty of time to interact with all of you, read some donations. And I would like to tell you all, there are still some characters left for Live Alive that have not had any donations for picking the name. So if you want your name to show up in Live Alive, or a dear friend's, or your dog, anyone, feel free to get those donations in towards those animals, and towards those characters' donations. And again, you can get a bunch of really cool prizes as well, including the Trails of Cold Steel 2 Relentless Collector's Edition. That's just a minimum $15 donation that can go towards the incentives as well. Now, I want to show some love for our community artists as well. I mentioned LLK earlier. They designed the RPG Limit Break logo, and Mega Weasel and its Kaza, who are responsible for designing several of the emotes that you can access by subscribing to RPG Limit Break's channel. All the revenue from subscription bits and ads that adds the rerun contribute to funding our annual marathons. And your support in this regard is critical to help us put on these wonderful events every year. And if you have Amazon Prime, please remember that you can actually use your Prime subscription on this channel. It'll get rid of the ads, and it'll also help our mission. So if you have Amazon Prime subscriptions, that's a wonderful way to help and contribute without necessarily having to donate your own money. Now, if you're still watching and you're curious what's coming up next, I do have the Trails in the Sky, the third run for Trails Legend of Heroes. It's coming up. That's right next. It's going to be a co-op run by Champion Beef, James Picard 007, Stolheim, and it's the any % mixed turbo co-op category specifically. After that, we are going to have Live Alive by Brimhealth the Fifth. They're doing the any % good ending on PC. And then later on today, we're going to have Final Fantasy X by Vermilion. They have the Cutscene Remover True RNG category. And there's tons of great content coming up after that. So feel free to tune in, enjoy those runs. This is a fantastic marathon. And again, all the donations that you're sending in go to a great cause. Now, I'm going to remind you all, this is also a really good time. If you want to go get some water, if you want to take a stretch break, take care of yourselves. There's plenty of marathon left, and we're just in the middle of a cutscene, so this is the great time to do it.
Yes, indeed. This is actually, during the actual PB attempts, this is often a place where the runner himself, the runner themselves can actually get up and do a bunch of things and come back.
So would you say we're about halfway through the cutscene, a little over?
It's been, how much? Like 7 minutes? Yeah. There's, some stuff happening. It's always going to be confusing if you only played part of the game, like with doing speedruns. Or at least 80% speedruns. I suppose it's also a good time to give some shoutouts rather than after the end of the run. It's not to waste too much time. We're speedrunners after all. So I want to shout out, first of all, Chigao Sensei, who is the current world record holder of the game, and also the person who basically made the task before humans started running the game. And it's based on those tasks that I did the first speedruns of the game shortly after the English release in 2020. And it took a while for other runners to join in, but eventually, shoutouts to tecchan, who in about spring 2022 came onto the scene and absolutely dismantled the game. and showed the power of not just good execution but also routing. Moon is, as a speed game, is not as interesting as a mechanical challenge, like I said, but as a routing challenge, it's fantastic. There are so many different ways to think about the route, and tecchan has contributed so much to it. It's just like you cannot save time simply in one spot without majorly affecting the rest of the route. And if you do this thing differently, then you may not be able to make it in time for another event just a little bit later on, that kind of thing. So you have to put a lot of brain power into it. And tecchan really was the first to, exploit this and draw a lot of attention to this, and eventually attracted a bunch of other speedrunning eyes, among which Luke Izumori, who was another runner who was the first person to achieve a sub 2 hours and 10-minute time, as well as, of course, other members of the community that regularly participate in races that the community does every month. That would be Kuroro, who has also previously held the record in all fishes. We also have Kaishima, who doesn't really run the game, as far as I know, but is a great ambassador and a really supportive friend of the community. Shoutouts to Onion Games for bringing this game back to life after 20 years. Not a lot of studios would do that, but they went through the effort to do that. And we are eternally thankful for making this old game available to play on modern platforms. I really do wish a lot more of, game preservation worked out as well as this one. Onion Games also has a few other games that you can check out. I don't know if their sale is still going, but they do hold these sales on Steam regularly. And currently they're working on a new RPG that's kind of like a spiritual successor to Moon. And you definitely want to check that out if you're interested in what you're seeing here. Stray Children will be available on Switch. As for Moon, it is currently available on Switch, on Steam for PC and Mac, and also PlayStation 4 and 5. And currently, we have Japanese and English localizations for all these platforms.
All right, while this cutscene continues to play on, I will give you one last little push, everyone. Please remember we're raising money for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. They serve as the permanent source for people searching for life-changing guidance, information, and support as they navigate their mental health conditions. Their website alone, which is nami.org, serves over 12 million unique visitors annually.
Okay, here we are. Welcome to the Moon. So we're at the end of the 13-minute cutscene. There's still 7 more minutes of a pretty epic finale. And at last, we have reached our destination. It's time to set foot on the Moon. It turns out to be the location of the Dragon Castle. We'll be speaking to the King and Queen soon. We're greeted by our old friend Delato. He is very proud of what we have accomplished, although we did do the bare minimum, really, to get to this place, but oh well. And the animals are here. What a pleasant surprise. The Moon was their home all along. And we helped them by catching their souls and letting the little alien lift them up and bring them back here, where they are safe in the absence of any heroes. The dragon, as it turns out, is actually two entities joined together. The floating heads of Queen Aphrodite and the Dragon King. They want our help, and it's the same request as the one made by the people of Moonworld. Bring back the moonlight. They tell us of the Rumroms, these mysterious tablets that contain prophecies which always come to life. And one of them has told them that they're about to perish at the hands of the hero in just a few moments. But we can do something. We can open the door of light, behind which the moon's glow is trapped. It's time to put all the love inside us into action and fulfill our last duty in this world. Delotl is waiting for us here. He too is hopeful that this is the moment the moon gets back its shine. After all, there is another Rumrom that says a boy will open the door of light and save everyone. But alas, the door won't budge. Ironically, it is the Rumroms that weigh down the door and prevent it from opening. Was the prophecy wrong? Is everyone's fate really to be slain by the hero? What a shame. So we return to the castle without the spoils of victory that we desired. The king and queen, they don't understand either. And it might be all too late to think of other solutions. We can only wonder as to why we have failed. Perhaps free will really doesn't exist in this world, whether it's with or without us here. And meanwhile, back at the rocket, another good friend of ours, Yoshida, has decided to tag along. Maybe you shouldn't have, Yoshida. Maybe you shouldn't have. We have no idea what's about to unfold. Oh, here he is. The hero managed to sneak onto the rocket ship. So we unwittingly brought him here to cause everyone's demise. He slaughters every last animal once again, giving him in the process tons and tons of XP. That is all he wants. Level up, level up. He makes sure to visit every part of the moon's surface, seeking out every animal and leaving no living bodies behind. And curiously, the animals leave behind Rumroms after dying. They are, after all, just, video game objects. And Rumroms are just game code. That is why we can't stop any of this. We cannot rewrite the game's programming this easily. The hero will defeat every monster and slay the evil dragon. That's the script. All we can do is await our destiny. Before they perish, the king and queen have a realization. They want us to open the door. Not that one, the next one we see. As everyone gathers here, this is the perfect chance for the hero to strike everyone down at once. Goodbye, Delotl. Goodbye, Yoshida. And shortly after, the king and queen also go down. Just like that. Is this the bad end? Did we not have enough love? Maybe we should have collected all 200 love available in the game. Maybe we should have, completed every quest and side quest. We didn't get 100%. Maybe we just didn't play the game enough. Is that where it all went wrong? In any case, it's our time to go to. Goodbye, Moon World.
Stop playing
Well,
that game
we wake up,
and go to bed.
and the boy's mom is once again calling him to go to bed. It must be really late in the night, and he spent this whole time inside the video game world. Time.
Okay, thank you for watching. I hope.
GG's.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, PotaterHands. I hope everyone will get interested in checking out and playing Moon Remix RPG Adventure. I am very grateful for such a wonderful opportunity. PotaterHands, thanks for the commentary. That's all. Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you for watching. Hope you
Thank
enjoyed.
you.
All right, everyone. Let's give one last round of applause for tecchan and PotaterHands for that wonderful game, that wonderful commentary. The run was fantastic. It was very entertaining. Again, my name is Alara. You can find my socials as Alara Cutie just about everywhere. I've had a fantastic time. I'm going to hand you off to the very, very capable hands of Ghost Kumo. He is going to be handling the hosting for the next shift. I'm going to run some ads for you, so take this moment, stretch a little bit, get some water, take care of yourselves. And while our time here is at an end together, I'm sure there's going to be plenty more fun for you to enjoy. Goodbye, everyone.
Welcome back to RPG Limit Break 2024. I am Ghost Kuma, and I'm going to be the host for the next run of The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky the Third. So I'm just going to be letting y'all know that we are going to be doing a very quick stream reset, which means that the stream will be very momentarily set offline, but it will go right back up. If you're having any trouble loading it, please hit the refresh button, and the stream will be back live. Let me know when we're back from the reset. How? What the heck? And the stream should be back live. Welcome, welcome, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. I am Ghost Kumo, and I'll be your host for the next run. We are RPG Limit Break 2024, coming at you live from Salt Lake City, benefiting NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. National Alliance on Mental Illness is a grassroots advocacy organization founded in 1979 by a group of parents whose children suffered with serious mental illnesses, and they have maintained that focus to this day. They reach out through advocacy-based programs, education and support, and awareness for the subject of mental illness, as approximately 1 in 5 Americans currently deal with some sort of mental health disorder. So they are a very valued partner of ours, and we love supporting them every year. And we are just getting set up here on this next run of Trails in the Sky the Third by Champion Beef, James Picard 007, and Schulteheim. Stay tuned. We have a $25 donation from WF Beard that just says, "Wish I could get an RPGLB shirt this year, but I'm moving around the time orders ship. I guess I'll help out by donating directly. Let's break that donation goal." Thank you so much. We have $129 from Graveyard Dirt with no comment, but we very much appreciate your donation. We do have a couple of incentives for the upcoming run. Let me just pull those up here really quickly. We have the incentive for doing the arena fights in Trails in the Sky the Third that is currently at $175 out of $500. So once we get that met, we get to do those arena fights.